So while I was inpatient at St. Joe Psychiatric Hospital, I was diagnosed bipolar, which later found out was really a mental illness that causes extreme mood swings, both manic and depressive. So I would say my official bipolar journey started my senior year of high school. I had a pretty normal life. I was energetic and had a lot of friends. I worked at Build-A-Bear. Then one day I woke up and it was the middle of the night. I was very eager to accomplish some tasks and started making a whole bunch of lists. Then I started to get hungry and I went down to the kitchen and started making some pancakes. And my mom woke up and came out and she was very upset. She's like, "What are you doing out of bed?" I later found out that it was because she had encountered my dad's manic episodes several years prior and knew that was probably the road that I was heading down. I had many memories of some increasingly kind of crazy behaviors. I became fixated with doing things. I couldn't stop. My mind would race from one thing to the next. My mom wouldn't leave me alone and would have people come over to babysit me and hang out or do something as it went on for several days. We were watching a movie. I couldn't even sit still for the length of the movie and I wanted to go run on the treadmill. So my stepmom came with me and from her story, I made her get on the treadmill too and even turned the lights off on her and turned up the speed really fast. I'm sure my sister and brother and parents would be able to tell you many more what we now laugh about stories. But in the time, I felt like things were going great. My parents knew more than I did and could tell that I was not stable and took me to St. Joe Psychiatric Health. And I was inpatient there for a few days where they tried to regulate my medicine and help me find sleep. One of the first few days they gave me medicine. I hadn't learned to swallow a pill. It took like an hour and they kept bringing me applesauce or pudding or something to try to swallow these pills, but I just wasn't good at it. To one of the medicines, I don't even know all the names, but one of them made me feel incredibly unable to move even. I remember drooling out of my mouth, like literally having someone else wipe my mouth. They ended up having to shower me because I couldn't even function enough to do those things with the medicine that they were trying. And it seemed like nothing was working. At that point, I saw the doctor and they put me back inpatient at Parkview Behavioral Health, where I stayed for almost a week and have some other scary memories of what the healing process was starting to look like. And it all seemed like a blur until I was regulated. Once I was on some medicine that allowed me to sleep and kind of come back to some sense of normalcy, I wanted to get out of there as soon as I could. I had no desire to stay. I remember crying to my mom and telling her she had to get me out. I know I was released on a Wednesday because I wanted to go to youth group, but I didn't want people to see me because I didn't know if they knew where I was. So taking medicine was never really my first choice, but I learned a lot like diabetes or asthma that medication was needed and it was a condition of my brain that I had no control over. I was on several different medicines for a while and even kind of a cocktail of a few at times. One of the medications caused a lot of weight gain. I think I gained 40 pounds in about 3 months' time and broke out in acne horrible. I never had to suffer with that as a middle schooler or through puberty as much, but at that time I looked awful. I would say it took about a year from when I first was in the beginning of mania until I got back to what I would consider my normal. Joyful and energetic, still driven, but not out of control. I continued on lithium for 10 years. Everything seemed great. And it was that time I went to go do my annual blood draws. And they were just checking for the abnormal, but my kidney levels came back that my creatinine levels were elevated. And they said my kidneys could potentially be damaged, that I needed to go off the lithium and hope for full recovery of my kidneys. I was terrified, not only for my physical health, because it had impacted my dad as he had to have a kidney transplant, and was probably the cause of him not being able to fight off bacterial meningitis and passed away at age 54, but also for my mental health. I was terrified of what life would be like being bipolar and not being on medicine. I did not want to go back to where I was my senior year, in and out of behavioral hospitals and feeling out of control. Doctor explained that if I just switched to a different medicine, we wouldn't know if it was working because I wasn't in mania. So basically I had to try it without and see how it worked. Within the next 4 years, without any medication, I felt pretty stable. And then I became a principal. I've enjoyed every moment, but I feel there's this underlying pressure that I put on myself to be perfect and do everything that needs to be done, which often results in some sleepless nights. I may fall asleep at, normal 8:30, 9 o'clock bedtime that I usually try to find, and wake up at midnight or 1 in the morning and just have all of the tasks that I want to go do on my mind. I've tried to force myself just to lay in bed and pray that God will find sleep for me. But waking up, going to take a bath or something that will calm my mind doesn't ever seem to help. Trevor and I even talked about if I should have to quit my job, which is the favorite thing of my life, but I know that's a possibility and that's scary. A couple of weeks ago was the first time when I had more than 2 nights that I really struggled to sleep, even when trying to take the medicine that was prescribed about 8 months ago. So I took a day off of work, went back to my psychiatrist, and he said that it was okay to go ahead and double the medicine and let me know that while it is an addictive medicine, I shouldn't be scared to take it, and it's more worrisome that I would go into a deeper mania if I didn't. So I was able to find rest again, but even since then, I've had another sleepless night or a random one here and there that just keep coming, and I know it's going to be a lifelong battle. With the support systems I have in place and knowing that going back on some mood stabilizers might be necessary, I have to let go of the fears, but it usually consumes me. I worry that things won't be right. Back in my senior year when I was first diagnosed, I thought maybe I would never be normal again. Once things started to get to more regular, then I didn't even consider myself bipolar, really. I had normal life for so long. It wasn't until recently that I knew this is truly a lifelong battle with ebbs and flows and moments that I know that I can't control and that I will always be bipolar, but I don't allow that to define who I am. Some people say that with mental illness or even a physical illness that they blame God for what happened to them. God made me in His image, but I'm not perfect, and there's sinful world all around us, so my chemical imbalance is just kind of a result of that. If anything, I've relied on Him more because I know I need Him in my imperfection to be perfect through me. I would say I've had several conversations with parents of students that have struggles at school and not sure if they should start some medicine, or teens that are going through mental illness, or even some adults recently that were diagnosed bipolar and looking for someone to be able to relate to. There's people out there that struggle and don't realize there's other people kind of in different situations, because I know we're all unique and no one story is the same, but able to connect and reach out with people and be the voice that God would have me to be is sort of my hope and goal.